financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is timely because it's tax time, so tax filing strategies and solving problems. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. I have the perfect tax filing strategy. It's used by many Americans.
Share it.
The ostrich one, you hide your head in the sand and hope they don't figure it out.
Is that where you lose your hair? The ostrich in the
that's a
soil.
good one. I like
the
that.
soil takes away your hair.
The ants in the
Yeah,
soil.
it's like exfoliating. Yeah,
Yes.
it works great.
The ants
Jeffrey
and the
Linden,
maggots.
good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
So this is a tax filing strategy to lose your hair.
Right.
Jeffrey Kirshner, good morning.
Hi. I was going to use the ostrich strategy, but I figure I'm a gambling man. There's 330 million people thereabouts. They'll never find me. What's one person not paying taxes or filing? I'm going to use that strategy.
That's the modified ostrich approach.
Yes, it's Ken Gross. Yes, IRS, yeah. Jeffrey Kirshner, he's in my office right now, Sunday morning, 10:30. Thank you. They'll never find you.
Never. Thank you.
No, nothing about it. You never know who your friends are. That's one of the, as Jock Ewing used to say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. All right, so
There's somebody who's seriously dated himself right now. Okay, how were the 80s?
you didn't watch Dallas?
I did watch Dallas.
Knots Landing?
No, did not watch
Falcon
Dallas.
Crest?
No.
These were Dynasty?
No,
Just
just
Dallas.
That was the
I
only-
needed to find out.
These were some
who
great
shot
shows.
JR. Right.
Tax Day, Tuesday, April 18th.
Wait, I thought it was always the 15th.
Now you got Emancipation Day that pops in there. More often than not,
It hasn't been the
it's
15th
not
for a
April
while.
15th.
Yeah,
Lately,
it's bizarre.
it's been delayed.
If you go on extension, your extension due date is October 16th. Some quick strategies on how to reduce your 2022 taxes. They're still out there. There aren't that many because we're beyond December 31, 2021. But you can still contribute to your Roth and Standard IRA. 6,000 under 50, 7,000 over 50. Deadline, April 18th. So, we always say this on the show. I don't have $6,000 put into my IRA. Well, do you have 3,000? If you have 3,000, put it into your IRA. If you have 2,000, you don't have to open an IRA and contribute the max. Contribute the most that you can. The amount that you put in reduces your your gross income from a taxable income. So if you had 50,000 of income and you contributed $4,000, you're now going to only pay income tax on 46,000 of income. You save the tax.
It is only as to a regular IRA, not a Roth IRA. Roth
Correct,
IRA,
right.
you do have to pay the tax on the contribution,
But
it grows tax-free.
Yeah.
It's an excellent vehicle if you qualify.
if you qualify, which there's an income cap on the Roth IRA, if you qualify as between the two, you're far better off doing the Roth rather than the
Actually,
Standard.
there really is no income cap on a Roth IRA. There's an income cap per se, and then there's the conversion. You can convert a regular IRA immediately into a Roth IRA.
In the same year?
I believe it's the same year. It might be the next year, but
So-
I think it's the same year. But the problem is you got to pay the taxes on it in that same year. So you put $7,000 into your Roth IRA with after-tax dollars, and then you still have to pay the taxes on it regardless.
Over the long haul, though, there's a great benefit. I remember I represented an individual who was having a post-divorce fight with his ex over support payments, and he had obligated himself on a mortgage, I think. And his solution was ultimately to use a portion of his Roth IRA to take a distribution from it to settle with his ex. The nice part of the story was, at the time of the divorce, maybe in the Roth IRA there was $20,000. This was like 10, 12 years later, and his Roth IRA at the time was worth $150,000. And it had accumulated tax-free.
Tax-free.
There was an issue of taking out the distribution because he wasn't at age 55 at that point. So I think there was a penalty. I don't remember how that handled it. But there's also hardship reasons where you can still take it out. But what that opened my eyes up to is that accumulation tax-free, and then you can take that money out and you're not going to pay tax on it, is a great benefit. All right, so a couple of things on taxes, okay, is what if you're married and one spouse has a big tax liability and the other spouse doesn't? How do you handle that?
It never happens, does it?
Every day. You file married filing separate. That protects the non-liable spouse, is what we call the person who doesn't have the tax problem, from being liable in the future going forward for future tax problems. If you filed jointly in the past, then both spouses are going to be on the hook with the problem.
So here's where it arises all the time. Tell me if I'm wrong. One spouse has a regular W-2 job, tax withholdings coming out of his or her paycheck every paycheck. She or he has no tax liability. The other spouse is self-employed. They're a real estate agent. They're an insurance agent. They're running their own snow plowing business or landscaping business. They're filing a Schedule C, or they have a pass-through entity as a sub-S corp, but they have to pay estimates on their taxes. They don't make the estimated tax payments. They're still making $100,000 a year. At the end of the year, they've got a $30,000 tax liability between self-employment taxes and income taxes, and they don't have the money to pay.
Good.
They're in the office trying to decide, do they file a joint return, which would have a slightly less tax, but if they file the joint return, the other spouse is liable equally for those taxes.
Right.
What do?
They file separate in that circumstance, because you want to protect the marital assets and the joint assets of the non-liable spouse from the liability of the spouse that has the tax problem. If you file joint, then everything's all in the mix.
All right, we're coming to a break. After the break, I'm going to ask you one question on that challenges you on it. We'll be back after the break.
Spring is upon us, full of hope. With hope comes the reminder that you need to protect your future and the future of your loved ones. THAV GROSS is holding a free estate planning seminar April 19th in our offices in Bingham Farms. We will discuss the importance of having a will, a trust, and powers of attorney. And yes, it's absolutely free. You need to protect yourself and avoid the probate of your assets when you pass away. To sign up, call us today at 888-235-HELP or sign up at thavgross.com.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Samasco Law.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so are you ready for my challenge?
Hit me with
The
it.
Ken challenge. All right, I'm in here with my spouse, and I'm saying to you, listen, yes, I have a tax liability. Shame on me, I haven't filed my estimates. My darling wife, she's got all of her withholding paid in. I said, but we're not getting divorced. We love each other. We're happy. You like me, honey? Yes, she likes me this week. We're not going anywhere. So shouldn't we still file married filing joint and pay the lesser tax and just deal with the tax paying what I owe, because we're going to have to pay it anyway? What do you think?
I think no, because and this is the problem that we have a lot. When you're dealing with your financial debts and tax debts, they're essentially business decisions, and you want to make the smart financial decision. Your relationship with your spouse is great. That's fantastic, and you should continue that. But don't be foolish and put assets that you need for yourself and your family at risk for no reason because of sentiment.
So it's the assets. So yeah. So here's the point. And then Brian,
let me just interpret this for a second. So you're saying the wife who's contributing to her 401k and has saved up a whole bunch of money for retirement, when she files married filing jointly, she assumes the husband's tax liability because now it's theirs, and her 401k is exposed to the IRS to be taken. Is that pretty much the translation?
Yes, that's an example of what could happen.
And if they file married filing separate, her IRA is still, her 401k or IRA is still protected.
Protected, right.
Okay, that's the big. I would agree. That's the big reason. If you do that, unless you just want to say we're going to pay that tax debt right now, and tap the money from the 401k, then you could still capture the lower rate on the tax by married filing joint. But if the husband says, "Listen, we're not going to touch your IRA, we're not going to touch the 401k. I will make enough money to solve the problem and catch up on my own." If that's the strategy, which is the better strategy because you don't want to tap in to your retirement account, then you're better off file married filing separate, because that way you can get husband, you can get me on a payment plan without jeopardizing and having to deal with the collection agent saying, no, cash out wife's 401k.
But can't they always, if they decide to go that route later on, amend the tax return, reduce the tax liability to the married filing jointly, and then pay the tax? I mean, they don't have to do that initial exposure.
That is a BFN. Do you know what a BFN is?
Big something no.
Big?
Something no.
Effing no?
Big. not effing. Big.
You got me.
Fat.
No.
No.
Okay.
So
You can't go that
different
way.
It's a one.
No, you can't. You can go that way. You can go.
You can go from separate
single
to joint.
joint.
You can't go the other way. It's
Oh,
a
I thought you
one-way
wanted
door.
to.
No, I'm
No.
saying
You can't go the opposite.
You
way.
can if you do that. There's two things. First of all, if you can amend your return, there's a 3-year window to do it. So if you have to decide to do that within that period, you can't just amend a return anytime.
Oh, so
Also,
3 years.
how good are you at predicting your future?
Me? I can't predict tomorrow.
Exactly.
But your point was clever in that regard. So you were saying file married filing separate, and then in the next year, if he has a big bonus and he can pay off the debt, amend the return and pay the lower tax.
Right,
Yeah.
but you're planning on if comes that you can't predict. So what happens is, to protect the assets, you don't know what's going to happen. Your plan that the husband was going to say is great if that's what the future holds. What if it doesn't and you can't pay the debt?
Yeah, but
now,
we're starting off married filing separate anyway, right?
Right, but I'm saying if you keep it married filing separate and you have a problem, now that 401k that we were talking about is protected. If I can get you into one of the better programs beyond a payment plan, let's say an offer in compromise, the asset value of that 401k is not in play. I can settle your debt for lower amount, and you don't have to pay all that back if that works, without having to worry about tapping into the value of that 401k. It's a much better result.
And then you also have to keep in mind this. If the self-employed, in this case we're saying husband because it was me, thinks he's going to have the great year that's going to pay the back taxes, he needs the great year that's going to pay the back taxes and the current taxes.
Right.
And that is a really great year, which sometimes you have, but sometimes you don't. So for sure, under every scenario, if presented with what we were talking about right now, is we're saying file married filing separate. And you need to make that decision immediately, because you can't, the big fat no is you can't file married filing joint and then amend it to separate. And a lot of times, if you walk into a tax preparer, they're not going to even think about analyzing that issue. First of all, they don't know what your debt is, and they don't know what the 401k is, and they're not thinking about it. You need to think about that issue yourself and take it up with your tax preparer at that time. All right, so other things. What happens if you fail to file your tax return on time?
Penalty.
Penalty.
Potential prosecution.
Penalty.
If it's bad enough, goes on long enough.
Jail.
Not filing your taxes is a federal crime if you're required to file them. But that's rare for most people for that to be a serious enough issue. The biggest issue is you've immediately created a headache because there's a 5% penalty on your taxes per month for the first 5 months if you don't
Which
file.
means instantly it's a 25% penalty.
In the years that we've been doing this, we've never come across a client that didn't file their taxes on time and
for
fix
3
that
months. In
within
2 months.
5 months.
Yeah, so it's always a 25% penalty.
Right.
The ones who get prosecuted, in my experience, are the actors and the sports celebrities that are very visible characters, and
don't
for
forget
failing
the
to
people
file their
that
tax returns.
don't file for 10,
also attorneys.
for 10
There's
years.
Been a few prosecutions recently in Michigan on tax fraud and failing to file tax returns. But that doesn't mean it's still not a crime. It's just stupid to incur the 25% penalty. Paying late is penalized at 0.5% per month. That takes
About 4.5 years to get to its max.
Yeah, but
far
don't forget also
better plan.
that it also all accrues at interest,
Right.
which is what, 7% now?
7% right now. Yeah. So not only does
Yes,
the
now
tax
it's
that
high.
you didn't not only is the tax that you didn't pay accruing interest, but also the penalties that you got are accruing interest too.
So for sure, file on time. If you're extended, file by the extension date. If you still owe the tax, then we can get you into a payment plan. Let's take a break. We're going to come back, do a case study.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
We were just spinning. We just didn't know what was going to happen next.
At Samasco Law, we deal with these issues every day, especially elder law. Pat went to work for Fran.
Patrick was there holding my hand, kept saying, "We'll get through this, we'll get through this."
He got her husband Medicaid and in a nursing home. Samasco Law got the success they deserved.
Samasco Law is definitely family to me. I really appreciate knowing all of you.
Time for announcements. We've got free seminars coming up. On Wednesday, April 19th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., we all need an estate plan. Key elements of a plan, what you need to know and address, how to avoid probate, how to protect your family. Attendees receive a gold certificate for $300 off the cost of any plan. Call 888-235-HELP, 888-235-HELP, or register online at lawandreality.com. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. We still do them via tele or Zoom conference if you like, but by all means, we're doing them in office. This is the post-COVID world. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Again, just sign up lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Also, go to our website to get the free reports, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself, Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and Pat's Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Spring is upon us, full of hope. With hope comes the reminder that you need to protect your future and the future of your loved ones. THAV GROSS is holding a free estate planning seminar April 19th in our offices in Bingham Farms. We will discuss the importance of having a will, a trust, and powers of attorney. And yes, it's absolutely free. You need to protect yourself and avoid the probate of your assets when you pass away. To sign up, call us today at 888-235-HELP or sign up at thavgross.com.
All right, let's do a case study. Fred, age 60, self-employed painter. He's behind in his taxes from 19, 20, and 21. Self-employed, like we were talking about. He's filed the returns, just has not paid. Fred's problem: his back is giving way and his income is way down. He still can work, Jeff, so he's not like disabled, but he's in a mode where, can you be disabled if it gets to the point where you're 60 years old and you have a sore back, so you can't paint 40, 50 hours a week, you can only paint 15, 20 hours a week? Can you get him disability in that environment? Or partial
Quite possibly,
disability?
but well, not partial, but you could. But it actually deals with how much you're making, which is kind of antiquated with regard to Social Security. It's irrelevant the hours that you work. All that matters with Social Security is how much you are making.
So if he ends up making, instead of making 80,000, he makes 40.
So I'll give you the magic number. Right now for 2023, the magic number is $1,470. That's what's called SGA, Substantial
Per
Gainful
week?
Activity, per month.
Bummer.
$1,470. Last year was $1,350. So as long as if you're working, but you're working under that level, $1,470 a month, then you could be eligible to apply for Social Security disability, but that has to be for 12 months or longer.
All right, so Fred has to keep that in mind. Right
But you're
now,
much better working than you are on Social Security.
right now, he's living off credit cards. He's got, and they're at $75,000 and they're climbing. His cash reserves are gone. He's got $25,000 in equity. His tax debt, $20,000 from 19, $15,000 from 20, $20,000 from 21. The due dates on these returns were 20, 21, and 22. these taxes, what's the dischargeability rule, Brian?
The tax
In
had to have come
bankruptcy.
due at least 3 years ago. You had to have filed your returns for at least 2 years, and you couldn't have been assessed in the last 8 months. In
All
this
right.
case, Fred's taxes are not, the first year of dischargeable, that's going to be dischargeable is
19.
2019, and then it'll be dischargeable
Right
April
now.
of 23,
Yeah.
unless he filed an extension, in which case it's October of 22.
So he can't discharge 24 and 25. So the question for you guys is, what does he do in this situation now?
Well, from a tax standpoint, depending on his budget, which is a similar analysis that Brian will do with similar standards for bankruptcy eligibility, is we'd look at his income over expenses and his assets, and we'd fit him into a resolution program that would either be a modest payment plan, possibly an offer in compromise, or even potentially a currently not collectible status.
'Cause he's not
if he doesn't
making
have
any
the
money.
cash flow. Right. So we'd look at that and we'd find the program that gives him the least.
So it sounds like
burden.
from a tax standpoint, on an immediate basis, you can handle that and keep him safe. Because
Yeah.
why? Because he doesn't have any assets and he doesn't have any money.
Right.
What about bankruptcy? What about survival?
So bankruptcy makes sense down the road.
Once
And
he
as long
gets,
as Jeff
once he
can-
can discharge all the
Right.
taxes.
As long as Jeff can do his thing and keep the IRS off of his back, we can keep all the credit card companies off of his back because he's self-employed. We can make him a superhero,
Okay, fine.
uncollectible.
Which is not very difficult because he doesn't have any income. And he doesn't have
Well,
any
he has
equity.
limited income.
What assets does he have?
The only asset he's got is the equity in his house.
Which is only 25,000.
Much,
Right.
right.
And so if I filed the bankruptcy for him even today, the credit cards would go away.
All right,
He'd
you
be able
guys-
to keep his house.
You have 1 minute left, my three wizards. He has $75,000 of credit card debt, and his maximum that he can borrow on those cards is 90. After he gets to 90, how is he going to live? He's here. I'm Fred. I've watched your show for all these years. I love you guys.
He talks a lot.
I love you guys. Tell me how I'm going to live once I tap out the credit cards. If you can solve that problem, there's $1 million bonus for each one of you.
Unfortunately, that's the true reality of the situation. We can get rid of the debt, we can ease the burden financially, but there's no manna from heaven in this situation.
Well, while the three of you have no solution, fortunately, I have the solution.
Oh, do say.
Fred, you need to find a wealthy girlfriend. Have a great week. We'll be back next week.
His name is
Law and
Mana.
Reality.